Here.
Debbie Hackers.
Here.
Martin Stillman. Amy Harris. Carol Thomas. Yes, she signed in early.
Oh, okay.
Hi, nice to meet you again.
Yes. All right, well, the first thing on the agenda is concerns for residents, and I understand that you have some concerns, so the floor is yours.
Oh, cool. Well, first of all, I hadn't been back because, last time I was here, I had concerns about shooting within the city limits by the school from Sergio Gutierrez. And you told me there wasn't no ordinance against it. Has anything changed?
No, the state won't let us have an ordinance against it. This is a.
Even next to the school?
We do have an ordinance, but we can't maintain it, I
Yeah.
believe.
Oh, so that
We-
was
we
not
can't
correct
we cannot
information, yeah.
enforce it.
We can't, we don't have
We
any
can't
enforcement.
enforce it.
Okay. Oh, where are you from, Mr.
Yeah.
Downey?
Well, I came here from Texas, but I've lived in Kansas and Virginia.
Nice.
Uh,
And that, where were you born?
I was born in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, nice. Well, Texas and Tennessee go together, don't they?
Well, somewhat, yes.
Yeah.
It's curious to me that there are some differences, but there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Well, and I was concerned about the fires because we had 3 in one night in Cumberland County, and they were all in elderly communities. Fairfield Glades, an elderly community. The Uplands is an elderly
Yeah.
community. A lot of people evacuated to my house and stayed like sardines lined up in my tiny house there, and brought all their pets till it was safe to go back. And I had a forestry badge for 20 years as an inspector. So the fire, I've never seen in my whole almost 60 years on earth anybody bringing news before the fire was even known about that it was caused by a down transformer. So I went out and walked all around the whole fire area all week. I have friends that took drone footage, places I couldn't walk. We debunked the transformer starting the fire rumor that started before the fire was even happening. That rumor made it here before the fire news did. So that was very disturbing to me that a narrative had been set that early, because it was dark. It was very windy. And then I got another narrative after that one was debunked that somebody was burning at 9:30 at night in them high winds, and that's how the fire got set. So I was wondering if y'all ever figured out how the fire got
Well-
set. Is there a new narrative now?
Well, no, it's the VEC, the electric company, has said that it was started by a down transformer.
Well, I
Yeah.
talked to the fire and they said that wasn't true. I'll tell you what they told
Okay.
me today.
Yeah, and I knew it because I
They
inspected
told-
it, yeah.
They told me that it was a line. It was not a transformer. A wire fell and it started it.
There's no down lines up above the fire, and it
Well,
blew this
they-
way.
Put 'em up.
They replaced them all. I mean, they worked.
I was there the next day and walked every bit of the lines. I videoed it too.
Well, I expect they had them up the next day, the ones there. I
My
mean,
power was back on the next morning.
Because when I got the narrative that somebody was burning and started it, and I said, well, who was that? I got told it didn't matter. But a lady lost her house, so if somebody was burning out there in them winds at night, they're liable for that house and the Bowater property. They're paper trees that got lost and damaged.
yeah.
And
Well,
if somebody personally started it, that's personal liability. We have the right to know who started that fire. There could be criminal charges if somebody was burning. And so the fact that the narrative changed by the next morning, and even the mayor's brother of White County told me that a man started that fire, they knew it. But he wouldn't tell me the man's name. So the narrative keeps a changing. And I did walk all over there the next morning, every inch of the wires and lines, and looked for transformers because the narrative was set so early. I've never seen that in all my 20 years of state forestry. So that was very disturbing to me. The other thing that really disturbed me in my 60 years on this planet, anytime there was a danger that close to elderly, and I understand that most of the responders were probably in Fairfield Glade because it started in the North County, then Fairfield Glade, then here, like somebody had them a little old happy trail coming through. And, you know, the elderly might have needed to evacuate because if the rain hadn't come, it wouldn't have mattered if 5 counties of fire trucks come. There wasn't no stopping that. It was producing its own wind. And, blew down everything this way because the wind was blowing this way. So that's why all the trees and power lines are down on the main road, because the 40-mile-an-hour winds turned into 70-mile-an-hour winds from the draft of the fire. It was that big.
Yeah.
And so I'm right across from the school where the evacuation was, and there was no buses or transit of any kind in place to evacuate the senior center, and
Well,
they
the
can't.
senior center has is you know, it's privately owned. It's part of Uplands.
But
They have their own fire or emergency plans. They actually sent people around door to door.
yeah, I talked to the
independent
maintenance guy. He
living.
couldn't get past the.
And
He couldn't get here. There was nobody here for them. I mean, I watched it with my own eyes. I
Yeah.
recorded it.
well, he was working with the Uplands people.
Mhm.
There were people from the county that were.
Well, earlier today, I was recording
working
somebody
on
saying
people.
they put them all in the basement because there
Well,
wasn't.
I said that.
There
I'm
was-
the one
yeah.
that said that.
I didn't want to call
said
you
if-
out. I didn't want to call
say
you out.
they did. I said if they were going to evacuate them, they would put them in the
Yeah,
basement.
that's-
Right.
I didn't say they
That's
did
what
it.
they had said, and they were doing that before.
That's for tornado, but if you've got a fire situation, the basement ain't no good.
Well, there's no combustible material around that building. It's a brick building, and they've talked with the fire inspectors.
It's got a
and
shingle
stuff,
roof, right?
and it's a
The shingles are highly flammable.
and that's that's a plan that's approved by the state. The reverse 911, I think the best we can say is that didn't work. I called the 911 people, and they had.
Oh, I was
people-
on the phone with them
They
too.
had people out. They mostly were concerned about this end of town because the wind was, the fire was south of us, the wind was blowing from the east to the west, and so they were worried mostly about that end of town. They had people out there knocking on doors, encouraging people to evacuate. We decided, because they were having so much trouble, people were asleep, that they weren't answering the door.
Yeah, because we didn't
set
get
off-
no 911 alerts on our phone.
That's why we set off the siren. And
Yeah, that was after the rain came.
Unfortunately, no, it wasn't. It was long before it started to rain. But that siren makes one sound. It doesn't have a different sound for something else. The main
Yeah,
reason
it's
we
the
set it
nuclear
off
alarm, yeah.
was to just let people know that there's a problem. Like 100 years ago, they rang the bell at the academy to let people know there's a problem. And then
Well, and
that
that
helps you to figure out what the problem is.
that leads me to my last concern, and the most important concern I have is that of all the people that piled in my house that night and all their little dogs shitting and pissing all over my rugs because they were scared in the dark and hadn't never been there before, none of us got no 911 alerts on our phones. If you had a dead phone that was charged but wasn't serviced, you got the evacuation alert to come to the school. So the school parking lot wasn't very full because hardly nobody got them. Hardly nobody has a spare phone that's not
Well, they
serviced.
ended up with 100 people at the school, I've been told.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Oh.
it might have been. I didn't see but about 20 cars.
And for a town of 540, that's, a substantial
But
number. And
But the problem was, because we've all been on the phone with our service providers all week to see why we didn't get 911 alerts, and we were all watching the TV looking for that little band that scrolls across the bottom of your screen for storm warnings, tornado warnings. Well, Trump didn't think we needed that band on none of the channels no more while he was speaking. Every president that's ever been had that band when they was speaking for
yeah,
tornado coming through. We could watch it and know it when it got
Yeah.
close to get in the basement. But we didn't have that opportunity for the weather. And that's disturbing because according to the phone carriers, the only way that could happen, that a whole area would not get their 911 alerts like that, would be if there's a Stingray device mimicking the cell towers. Well, that also means you can't dial 911 either. If you're not get
yeah, well, so
you got
a
it,
lot of people
and some
did
of the
get-
Mennonites got it, but nobody in the Browntown, all the way to Bon Air, the mayor's brother-in-law, Eddie Pack, didn't get it, and he's got an Apple phone, computer. They didn't lose power for a long time. They didn't get it on none of their devices or computers neither, and they've even got Apples. They're not, poor
I know-
Android folks.
I know people in
And
Pleasant Hill who got, I personally did not get it, and, I'm
and
upset
that's
about that.
the reason I'm trying
But
to explain
it's
to
the-
you.
Well, what I want you to be aware of is that the county is responsible.
And I
for
called them,
911,
and they can't help
Right.
us.
And they have admitted that they had a technical problem. And
If you
they
go
are
in your
working
phone
on-
settings and try to turn on your national alerts, it won't respond because there's a Stingray device on our towers here. And only cops are supposed to have it, and they're only supposed to run it temporarily to bust criminals because it does disrupt your 911 calls and alerts. They won't come through. I haven't got any
Well,
personally. Mine have been shut off since October, sir. It's right in your settings. There's a history.
Well, did you say you had called 911?
No, I couldn't call 911. And nobody can if they don't get their emergency alerts.
I called 911 and talked to them for some time, and they told me that they were planning on sending out a reverse 911, and I know several people who got that.
Well, the
So,
majority
the-
didn't.
I believe that's true, and the county has said that that's.
It's because
a-
it's this tower right here
problem.
beside us.
Well, I don't believe that's a problem. They.
You're a
believe
tech
it's
guy, aren't you? I
problem.
can tell by the way
Yeah.
you're looking at me.
Well,
He is too.
yeah, but
So you know what a Stingray is.
Yeah.
It mimics the cell tower. Only cops are supposed to have it,
Yeah.
but anybody can build one.
yeah, but
So-
the county does not. The county people I've talked to believe that was a problem with their software, and it did.
Well,
not
we got an Amber
after-
Alert after the storm on
Sends
Thursday,
out.
and nobody got that either, not even on their dead devices. And we did get some dead devices that, if it was charged, got the alert. But the services you pay for, whether it's Net10, Spectrum, whoever your phone carrier was, Verizon or whoever, it didn't matter who your carrier was. I got Spectrum. My friends that come stayed
No,
had
it
Net10,
shouldn't-
and
But I got the Amber Alert too, but I got it
It
from the
shouldn't.
TV channel.
yeah. See, it didn't come on your phone, so we're still
No,
not.
It came on my phone, but I'm signed up with the TV channel to get alerts from them.
Okay, well, that's the big major problem with our tower here. There's a Stingray running off
Well,
of it.
I don't believe that's true.
Well,
because
Spectrum
I-
told me.
Well.
Because
I-
I've been with Spectrum since I moved here and got hacked by the hacking lawyer that stole 10 grand from Citibank. And the police wouldn't do
Well,
nothing about
I
him.
will contact Spectrum tomorrow. I have a good relationship with them and ask them about that.
Because at
and
first
see
I
if
thought
they
it was
can
just me getting
Because-
getting hacked by the
because-
lawyer for 10
because
grand.
so
But
many-
then when the fire happened, and everybody's saying that they're not getting no Amber Alerts, and they're looking, Spectrum's teaching us how to look into our settings and see where our alerts stopped and when they began and what alerts we've got. And it tells you fire, tornado, Amber, the date, everything. You can, if they teach you how, because we don't know these things as elderly, you can go in there and look at all your alerts that came through. I haven't got an alert since October off of this tower that I ping off of. And they said that's the only thing that could cause that is a stingray running continually mimicking the tower. And if you got a secure computer, because this is City Hall, that thing can hack up to 60,000 devices at once. Well, the person that's using it illegally, he can tell you've got a secure phone like you're a detective. Or he can tell you've got this secure computer in the hall. Well, it doesn't stop him, it just lets him know where the best targets are. So, yeah, I've done my homework. I'm really frustrated because we pay for our alert system. We pay on our phones for the 911 services, and I haven't had them since October. So I feel like I've been paying for a good or a service I haven't got. Well, I don't just feel like it, I know it.
All right, well, I appreciate your concerns. I will contact, because I have not heard anything about.
Well, there's nothing they can do about it. There's no paper trail to a stingray, even if the cops have it legally.
Well,
There's nothing they can do.
if the cops have one,
They wouldn't run it continually.
Yeah, and so.
They would
if-
bust the criminals in a month or so. It would be
if
shut
there's-
off.
If there's one there, somebody who owns a tower or the EMS service, because that's stopping them from getting alerts, which they don't want. And I've got a good relationship with Travis Cole, who's the head of that.
Yeah, I talked to him.
And I will talk to him about
He
that.
said he couldn't do nothing. I talked to him today and yesterday.
He'll do something if I talk to him, I believe. And